This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm joined by promoter Eddie Hearn here in London. Eddie, firstly, how are you? Did you have a good weekend?
I had a good weekend. I can't remember what happened at the weekend, which that's a good sign.
I don't know what I'm saying weekend for. It's Thursday, mate.
No, yeah. It was very random. What did I do? I went to see West Side Story, the film. Yeah, with the kids, not the best. And then, I don't know what I did after that, really. Not a lot, just chilling out. About to start, obviously, Rung Versailles Quadras next week, and then Ryder Jacobs, and then just non-stop action. I think 8 shows in 9 weeks or something, so getting ready for the road.
Busy time, Ed, but boxing's back and it's good to be back. Let's come onto the reason we're here. The first press conference we had earlier, WHYTE, the new name on the Matchroom roster, talking about how happy you are to get his signature over the line. And the plan moving forward, as you mentioned, WBC international title first up.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, probably the standout performance from the Olympic Games. And obviously, look, with the history of his brothers, you know, Kao and Gamal are someone we care about a lot. Seen Galal for a long time. I think he's a tremendous fighter. And anytime there's a British gold medalist, you know, coming through the ranks, you want to get that guy. And we work very hard to get that guy. He believes in us. He believes that we've got the best platform for him to fight internationally on the biggest shows around the world. And as you mentioned there, you know, when I sat down with him, I just felt that, do we really need to see Gamal Yafai do 6 or 7 6-rounders and 8-rounders? The kid's unbelievable. You know, he could probably challenge for a world title now. So let's go Lomachenko style, and let's go with a 10-round championship fight in his first fight. He was up for that. He it stands him out from the crowd, if you like, in terms of the other Olympians as well. He's got the ability to do it, and he'll fight for the WBC international title, Feb 27.
As soon as you made the announcement, a certain Sonny Edwards said, you'll be seeing a lot of me, Eddie, over the next couple of years. Do you expect to see that fight made at some point?
Galal and
Sonny Edwards.
Yeah, Sonny's a tremendous fighter. You know, he's going to be very difficult to beat. I would just like to make one thing clear about Sonny Edwards, which is, you know, he posted the other day saying, I knew Eddie and Eddie don't want the fight. I promise you, Eddie Reynoso asked me to make the Julio Cesar-Martinez fight probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Obviously, the opportunity came up to fight Chocolatito. What a fight that is! But rest assured, and I know that if Martinez wins, him against Estrada is like a massive all-Mexican fight. But the plan is very much to move straight back down to flyweight, and we would love to make the Sonny Edwards fight.
So Sonny, as far as he's concerned, will be facing Julio Cesar-Martinez after Martinez Chocolatito.
I mean, we haven't made an offer, you know, and we don't know if we can agree terms, but that would be a fight we would love. As I said, Sonny's a great fighter. Julio, you know, obviously fought his brother as well, and, you know, we know what happened there. So I think, you know, that's a good fight. And I expect Galal Yafai to be in with all those guys over the next 12, 18 months. I believe he's going to win a world title at flyweight, and I think he's going to go up, you know, maybe even to bantamweight as well, and become a multi-division world champion.
Away from Galal onto the main event press conference today, Okolie Cieslak, talking about that fight, Eddie.
Really good fight. Like, you know we want Okolie to unify, but outside of that, if you gave me 3 or 4 names from the division, Cieslak would be right up there. 2 elite cruiserweights, by far the toughest fight of Okolie's career so far, and I think it's a really good fight, and I think Lawrence will have his hands full. In
Lawrence's case, Eddie, if he's successful against Cieslak and he can't get a unification, is it moving up to heavyweight after that?
Yeah, we even looked at that for this fight, really, just to have a one-off fight. But once you go, it's very difficult to come back weight-wise. And I feel that, you know, we have to unify, but we shouldn't get too frustrated. This is only his second defence, so it's not like, you know, and this is a proper fight. That's important. You know, I think to make a poor fight that is just a walkover for him, people will get bored. This is a real fight that he could lose. There'll be a lot of Polish fans there in the arena as well. It'll be a good atmosphere, Sunday night, big platform for him. And I just feel like we get this one done and then we move on to the unifications.
You've obviously got Maccabi fighting this weekend. You've got Breedis going on about Jake Paul. How confident are you the next one will be unification? Because as we've mentioned about weight moving up and down, Lawrence is a very big cruiserweight in one.
He won't be here forever. You know, if he beats Cieslak, which we believe he will, he has to move on to the unifications. I think the most likely one right now is the Gulamar and Igorov winner, because we had that penciled in. They were supposed to fight in December, but one of them got COVID. That fight's been delayed. But I think it's likely if he beats Cieslak, you'll see him against the winner of that fight.
Just walk me through the undercard for the February show as well, Eddie.
Galal Yafai in a championship fight, making his debut. Anthony Fowler in a good fight against Maciek, the Pole as well. There's going to be a lot of Polish fans in the arena. Great to see him up at 160. Fabio Wardley returning. Campbell Hatton in a good fight as well. Chev Clark will make his professional debut. Dempsey McKean, our Australian heavyweight, 19-0, moving on to his top 15 rank now with 2 governing bodies. John Hedges will be in action as well. Yeah, exactly. Good card. And tickets went well yesterday without pre-press conference. And Sunday night, the O2. It's going to be a lot of fun. A little bit earlier than normal. About a 9 o'clock main event, done by 9:45. Or as how long Okolie lasts.
Now, away from this card and onto a topic which I'm sure everybody's going to ask you about. Pretty much, yeah. Fury, AJ, Usyk, Dillian White, the latest with it all.
I mean, it's been a really arduous process, to be honest with you. Like, we've listened to talks and ideas and strategies, and I'm open-minded on them all, to be honest with you. We kind of got to a place where, subject to wording, there might be an idea that suits everybody, but really it came down to Tyson Fury. He didn't want to fight Usyk in the undisputed fight without, for some reason, an interim fight, and he wanted to fight in March. That slowed things down a little bit with the negotiations, and now it looks like he's just turned around with, I'll fight Dillian White. So there's purse bids tomorrow, and I think they'll happen, to be honest with you. And I think it's almost certain at this stage, people got to realise as well the way boxing moves. When I do this interview, which is at 1 p.m. or whatever it is, like literally in half an hour, everything could change completely. So as I do this interview at 1 o'clock or whatever it was on a Thursday afternoon, I'm pretty sure that it'll go to bids tomorrow.
Why is Tyson, from listening to what you're saying, Eddie, moved away from the idea of an Usyk undisputed?
I can't speak on his behalf. I never understand. There's a lot of bluster. 1 minute Anthony Joshua's a coward for thinking about taking step aside. Then he's the worst businessman in the world for losing 90 million. None of it makes sense. Like I said, he's the king of contradictions, but he's entitled to do whatever he wants. But I can't understand for the life of me why, if he's this great fighter that he says he is, if he can beat all these people are bums, why won't he go straight into an Usyk fight? And that's what's stopped any conversation. And by the way, there's still, you can agree terms for an idea, and then once it's all papered, it might look very different. That's why you always ask to see a contract. But nothing was agreed from us in terms of signing any long-form agreement that would step aside, that would do this. There is a plan in place that could potentially work if all terms were right. But we can't do that if all four fighters don't want to move forward to that next stage. And Tyson Fury's made it clear. You see this morning, now he's back on Dillian White. So, we'll see.
For yourself, Eddie, I remember interviewing you last year, and we spoke about this potentially happening, and you was adamant AJ wanted Usyk next, and that was going to be the case. What changed over the last couple of weeks, which started to see negotiations take place for AJ to potentially step aside to allow a Fury Usyk?
Nothing's changed. What I always said to you was AJ wants to fight Usyk next. That is the case. Now there is an opportunity, if it means that Anthony Joshua will have a bigger fight a few months later to determine who is the best heavyweight on the planet with no questions asked for a hell of a lot of money. Should we consider that? Yes, we should, in my opinion. Right? AJ, again, not committed to anything, but if there was an opportunity for him to work in his new environment, have a fight, make a lot of money, make 4 times as much money in the second fight than he would to fight Usyk, and more importantly to him, get the opportunity to say, I am the best heavyweight on the planet, it will be something that will be considered. But it's all irrelevant if all 4 fighters don't agree to a process. And it looked like that was going to happen, but Fury had a change of heart.
With AJ, wouldn't it have made more sense, as people have said to me in interviews, for him to have stepped aside and listening to it, he was open to at least talking about it because of his whole training situation?
That's another reason. But you have to understand, Andy, when you're talking to a fighter, AJ thinks he'll beat Usyk next time without a trainer, right? Because that's just the fighter in him. He's a very proud man. He's a throwback fighter. He wants to get in there and he wants to roll the dice. But the sensible part of the team should be saying to him, listen, right now, you're yet to work with a new trainer or a new environment that you're going to. If you have an interim fight, you're going to be a much better fighter and better prepared for what would be a bigger fight a few months later. But it's hard having that conversation because they kind of look at you and say, what are you trying to say? So, but there's so many ifs, if this. And if that was papered, yes, we would definitely consider it. And I would recommend to him that he would consider it. But we didn't get that far because we're stalled. Because now, as I said, Fury says, I want to fight a warm-up or a 10-rounder in March, or I'll fight Dillian White in April or May, instead of fighting Usyk in May or June. So I can't speak on his behalf, but that's what has led me to believe there will be purse bids tomorrow.
Purse bids tomorrow. They've been moved. This will be the 4th time, I believe, for a rescheduled date. How confident are you that they will actually go ahead tomorrow?
As we stand here now, I believe they'll take place tomorrow.
So when I see you in Leeds tomorrow...
As I stand here now, I can't tell you what might happen, when I walk out of here and get a phone call. So things change all the time. But I think every other time there's been a purse bid, I would have said to you, I do not believe it will take place. But I think it's more likely it will take place tomorrow than it not taking place.
Just a few other topics to touch on, Eddie. Demetrius Andrade, I've read that he's going to potentially vacate his title or move up to face Zach Parker at 168. Just kind of some confirmation or something?
Just discussing it, really. I mean, look, he's in a position, he's kind of done everything at middleweight. He's not overly motivated to fight Janibek. He wants to try and break out and get a big fight, and if he moves up, sometimes you would become automatic mandatory. That's not the case this time, but he could fight Zach Parker and become automatic mandatory for Canelo Alvarez. Something he's looking at, undecided, but a good chance that might happen.
I take it there was no further talks with Charlo or anything?
No.
Away from that one, you mentioned Canelo. Obviously, we've seen very well documented about potential next options for him. Makabu, one-fight deal with PBC for Charlo, or read that DAZN putting together a package for Bivol and Golovkin. Can you just confirm or deny, or just kind of fill me in on your part?
I think we're at that stage now where he is planning and deciding what he's going to do next, and we're in that mix, obviously, along with a lot of other people to say, this is what we'd like to do. What do you think, Sal? And I'll be seeing him early next week to go through those options. Obviously, he's had other offers as well, and it just comes down to Andy what he fancies, really, what him and Eddie Reynoso get excited about. For us, it's we've got fights like Bivol, we've got fights like Golovkin, other fights as well. I said to Eddie Reynoso, you could fight Okolie if you want. There's another cruiserweight, and it just comes down to what excites them, and hopefully that's working with us. And it would be a big moment for us if we could secure his signature again, and we'll see what happens next week.
I've seen Bivol is in London. Have you met up with him? Had some talks?
He's not in London to see me. No, just randomly in London. So he's ready. He wants to fight. Everybody wants to fight Canelo. One, because it's a big payday, but also at the same time it's a legacy and career-defining fight.
Eddie, that's a perfect way to end it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Mate, thank you.